Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another show. We got the Supreme Court arguing over stupidity. The birthright should be an open and closed case, but somehow our country is arguing about this. We'll get to it. The View is crazier than two left shoes. How is a whole bunch of women crying about women having children? You know how stupid you got to be? Then I have to talk about this black dude that went on to a podcast and said that there's no way, shape, form, or fashion that black men should ever be with white women, which is insane. Before we get to any of that, I have to talk about the continuation of stupidity and brainwashing involved in Charlie Kirk's murder case. We'll get to that in a second. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
And I want everybody in this room to have that same spirit, that same identity carried in your life.
Make sure that you go through life and find your purpose.
And we don't do this just to get a pat on the back. We do it because we came here to win.
And it starts with you understanding that God has a purpose for you.
This is the time to be more bold than ever before.
We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we should love one another. We should be focused on what's right for our country. Welcome back. We're going to get right into this. Ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to my wife last night, and we're just both perplexed at the amount of disinformation and bad faith actors that are in this fight against Charlie Kirk. I mean, literally, they're against Charlie Kirk. They literally want Charlie Kirk's murderer to get off scot-free. They literally, some of them, are just naive, right? Which is fine. I have a little bit of grace for naivety, right? Some people are naive, and some people are believing lies that they see online. They have never done investigations and none of that stuff, so they kind of buy into it. Fine, I get it. I'm here to help you. But there's also people who are malicious. There's people who know what an investigation looks like. They know that if they think for 3 or 4 seconds that their argument will fall apart in a matter of minutes. But instead, they push it to you anyway because there's clicks available. There's views available. And that's the sad part of it. So I'm here to give you something else to think about. If you are thinking to yourself that there's no way that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, it's all a setup, it's all conspiratorial, I'm going to just give you a different perspective. I'm not telling you to believe me or not believe me. I could not care less, to be honest. I want to give you a different perspective so you can be informed and use your mind. Because I think people are putting out so much disinformation that people who are genuinely seeking the truth can't find it. All right, let's get to this first clip. This guy was a Green Beret. Shout out to his service. But this guy is one of the weirdest, most disingenuous people on the internet. I started following him when he was going after Kennedy because he had stolen valor, and this guy seemed solid. He seemed like a veteran who had his stuff together, and I really enjoyed his content. Then he molded into a complete Jew-hating, Israel-hating conspiracy. He believed in every conspiracy. Everybody's, he just turned, dude, and I expect better from him. So now he's made the show. I'm going to play his alleged synopsis of the 30-06 and all of these other things, and I'm going to debunk them with logic, common sense, and practicality so that you don't listen to this fool and then you get tricked and confused. All right? So let's roll it. First clip.
Breaking news coming out of the Charlie Kirk story last night, and it turns out, and I know this is going to shock you to your absolute core, that
Listen.
The ATF ballistics expert who was brought in to match the bullet found inside Charlie to the magical 30-06, he was unable to do so. So yes, now the bullet doesn't match the rifle. Okay. It's almost like somebody told you guys that from, 24 hours after the assassination attempt? Crazy. And to make matters even worse for the prosecution, it sounds like there's upwards of 7 different people's DNA on the magic 30-06.
Time out. Think of this. Think about this for a minute. He knows better. You think he would know better. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's never done an investigation. There's a difference between a round being inconclusive and a round not matching the weapon. And it's funny how he conflates. And this is the problem that a lot of these people are getting involved in. They're conflating, although they've read these articles, I'm sure, and they know that there's a difference between not matching and being inconclusive. So you did not say this right after the shooting. You have made a projection based on the round being the 30-06. But the ATF has come in and said they were unable to conclusively identify the round with any weapon because it's too fragmented. So there's no evidence that it didn't come from the gun, and there's no evidence that it did come from the gun because of this. It's inconclusive. So that doesn't rule out the fact that it could have been shot from the 30-06 rifle. And then when you go and you use the lack thereof of common sense and say there was multiple DNA on the 30-06, and I'm assuming he means the rifle. Well, anybody with common sense, including himself, would know that multiple DNA, to me, is an indication of more of an authentic item of evidence versus if you got one and only had one fingerprint on it. There is nothing that you own that don't have more DNA on it than your own DNA. The keys to your car. Multiple people have touched your car keys. Your kids touched them. Your wife touched them. You've touched them. Valet touched them. You name it, there's multiple people that have touched your car keys. You go down the list. Your credit card. There's multiple people that have touched your credit card, especially your gun. Multiple people have touched my gun. And it's because my wife, sometimes she takes my gun, or we go to the gun range. When I'm at the gun range, I have a 9mm. Some of the guys, we shoot each other's guns. So I got multiple people's DNA on my gun. So if I shot somebody today and somebody recovered my gun, you're going to see multiple DNA strands. If I saw one DNA, that's a problem. Because that means I cleaned the gun and then I touched it, or somebody staging something. Finish the clip.
So, yikes. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Grab some America First merch. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it. First things first, okay? I hate to toot my own horn on this one, but the amount of people who came out and called me a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat, grifter, attacked my credibility because you guys didn't know. I was pretty much the first one on the internet to stake my claim to the FBI narrative being and the 30-06 weapon. And the 30-06 obviously not being the real murder weapon. And I'll show you that. So I put this video out on September 12th. Yes, less than 24 hours after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, where I staked my claim on the FBI being full of shit and the murder weapon obviously not being the 30-06. Now, I'd love to say that I was some genius guru on this, but it was just the most obvious thing in the world that a 30-06 obviously was not what was used to not create an exit wound from 140 yards away. So
Time out. Now, here's the debunking part. Go look this up. Martin Luther King was shot at a similar distance with a 30-06. No exit wound. I'm not saying that it's not questionable. I'm not saying that people shouldn't question it. But what I'm saying is that if you were to act like it's completely impossible for anybody to be shot with a 30-06 at that range and the bullet not go all the way through, then that's history has proven to us that that's not necessarily true. And you don't get to just go out and create a narrative without a substantial counter argument. If you're saying that he did not get shot with a 30-06, which you cannot prove that he did not, there's no other weapon that we have. There's no other suspects that we have. There's no other witnesses to anybody else being involved in this. So if you're going to say that it definitely wasn't a gun, you have to have an alternative. But of course, you don't need to provide an alternative if you want to push conspiracy theories. Roll the clip.
Take a look at the actual story, and then we're going to talk about what comes next, because this was basically the one piece of evidence that the prosecution had to have to be able to convict him, and it doesn't seem like they're going to have it. The lawyers of Tyler Robinson on Friday requested a 6-month delay in a court hearing scheduled in May to review evidence that suggests the bullet that killed Charlie did not match the rifle. Robinson's lawyers wrote in a recent court filing that the ATF was unable to identify the bullet recovered at autopsy to the rifle allegedly tied to Mr. Robinson. They added that the FBI is conducting a second comparative bullet analysis, but neither have been completed. It's going to be real interesting.
Think about this. Just because the ATF couldn't do it don't mean the FBI can't do it. The ATF articulated that the bullet is too fragmented that they cannot conclusively draw a connection. That does not mean the FBI can't do it. So therefore, you're speaking with incomplete evidence. And incomplete evidence, you can't make a declarative statement that it really doesn't match. The Daily Mail created this because they wanted to get clicks. And therefore, they in part articulated a narrative to confuse people like him so he can confuse everybody else. We don't have a solid statement to say that there's no way in the world that this bullet came from the gun. And let me help you guys out with this. When it comes to evidence and circumstantial evidence, you don't need to compare the bullet to the gun for the gun to be the murder weapon. There's other outside evidentiary circumstances that you can utilize to make that gun be the suspect weapon. Let me give you an example. They know based on how the bullet entered his body, the trajectory of the round. They will be able to say that the trajectory was at this angle, at least in this angle range. Where else could it have been? Then you have a suspect admitting to shooting Charlie with the gun. So if a guy says, yeah, I shot him, my parents identify me as the shooter, and everybody at the scene heard the shot, turned and looked at him after he shot Charlie and watching him run away, you got multiple witnesses to identify and put together the full picture. He admitted that he killed Charlie Kirk on electronic communication to his boyfriend, and I would argue he admitted to his parents. That's why they told him to turn himself in. So now you have all that circumstantial evidence that point him to being the shooter, and easily the prosecution can argue that the round is inconclusive, not that the round doesn't match. So what he's saying is not true. I could go on for 100 years, but I got other things I want to talk about. But that's just a synopsis why I'm upset with some of these people online deceiving the public. And they want to be right more so than they want justice for Charlie Kirk. I would not be saying this as a former police officer if I did not believe it. You could say somebody put him up to it. That's a different argument. But the person who pulled the trigger and shot Charlie Kirk was Tyler Robinson. And for everybody else that want to come up with a hypothetical or alternative theory, let me tell you what you're up against. There are people now saying that the FBI planted the gun. How did they get the gun? If you're telling me that the FBI took Tyler Robinson's grandfather's gun to plant it at the scene, that's a stretch. So you're saying they took Tyler Robinson's grandfather's gun and they handled the gun without gloves. So therefore, FBI agents and everybody got fingerprints on the gun. Then they set the gun down and they had his dad call him and ask him about the gun. So now you're saying that his grandfather's involved and also his father's involved to get him convicted for murdering Charlie Kirk. And then you think that the FBI is dumb enough. You're saying that they got a scheme to place the fake gun, but they're not dumb enough to remove the fingerprints from the gun. Or handle the gun with gloves on so their fingerprints are not on the gun. Is that what you're saying? The alternative to what the narrative is bizarre. You're saying people are questioning whether or not the round is. Then you're saying the Office of Medical Examiner is in on it too, which the Office of Medical Examiner don't work for the FBI. These are different agencies. They don't even really communicate with one another. Then you're saying that the federal FBI that's in D.C. is now cross-pollinating with Salt Lake City FBI. And they're all corrupted and they coordinated all of this together. Then you have to ask yourself the question, why? You don't have a why. So don't jump to those conclusions until you get unequivocal evidence. All right, let's get to Donald Trump in the Supreme Court arguing over the birthright. This is the dumbest argument that America has ever had outside of should men be able to play against and beat up women in sports. This is the second dumbest. It's very simple, and I'm gonna show you Ketanji Brown Jackson and them talking stupid. This is very simple. You're not a citizen in America. When you give birth to a kid, they're a citizen of the country that you came from. If you're an American citizen, your children are American citizens. It's really that simple. Let's roll the Fox News clip. Roll.
President Trump about to leave the White House. He just got into the motorcade there, the Beast, and he will be going up, I think it's about a mile, maybe not even that much, up from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue up to the Supreme Court. He will be the first president in history to sit and listen to an oral argument. This is about birthright citizenship. On day one of his second term, he signed an executive order that said, this is no more. And it's been going up through the courts, and now today the oral argument will be heard starting at 10 o'clock. This has never happened before.
Yeah, because Donald Trump is a president like never before. Thank God that he exists, because this is asinine. Let's go with the conversation or the argument between John and Ketanji Brown. Roll it.
There's currently a system where, for example, social security numbers are generated based on the birth certificate. They say this can still be, for the vast majority of instances, completely transparent. You will still get a...
Not transparent. I'm just talking about the particulars, because now you say your rule turns on whether the person intended to stay in the United States. And I think Justice Barrett brought this up. So are we bringing pregnant women in for depositions? What are we doing to figure this out?
No, as I pointed out earlier, the executive order turns on lawfulness of status. So if you give birth to a baby in the hospital right now, it gets the birth certificate in the system. There's a computer system.
So there's no opportunity. There's apparently no opportunity then for the person to prove or to say that they actually intended to stay in the United States.
Absolutely not. The opposite is true. Their opportunity to dispute if they think they were wrongly denied, which would only happen in a tiny minority of cases,
after the
is
fact.
Directly addressed in that guidance.
After the fact.
Yes.
After their baby has been denied citizenship, then we can go through the process.
Yes. And the way that, I mean, I'm summarizing because I'm not an expert in computers, but there's a computer program that currently automatically generates a social security number. SSA says, look, a social security number, non-citizens can have them if they have work authorization, so it doesn't prove citizenship. We'll give you a social security number, provided that there's the system automatically checks the immigration status of the parents, which there are robust databases for, and then it appears no different to the vast majority of birthing parents.
Thank you.
Birthing parents is kind of weird, but what he's essentially saying is that when you go to the hospital, the status of the parents are checked and verified through a system. And if the status of the parents do not indicate that they're American citizens, when they give birth to a child, that child is not going to be an American citizen. If they feel like that is done incorrectly, they can go and get it fixed. It's that simple. Is there a question if you're an American citizen? No. Most of us, 99.9% of us who are American citizens, there's no question if you're an American citizen or not. You will be in the system as a person who was birthed from another person who's an American citizen. And therefore, your kids will be American citizens. There's no weirdness involved in the situation. To be quite honest, your kid being an American citizen or not as a little bitty baby is irrelevant, because they're not going to deport your baby. So you have time to fix it. If somehow in a fluke situation that you were incorrectly, geared in that direction, you can fix it. But these people are stupid and evil because they want illegal aliens. They want to be able to boost the population by having as many illegal aliens to come in this country and give birth as they possibly can. And for black people to be supporting this is stew-headery. Here's another clip from Ketanji Brown. Roll it.
Being born in whatever country you're from, that's what everybody recognizes. But you also have local allegiance when you are on the soil of this other sovereign. And I was thinking, I, a U.S. citizen, am visiting Japan. And what it means is that, if I steal someone's wallet in Japan, the Japanese authorities can arrest me and prosecute me. It's allegiance, meaning can they control you as a matter of law. I can also rely on them if my wallet is stolen to, under Japanese law, go and prosecute the person who has stolen it. So there's this relationship based on, even though I'm a temporary traveler, I'm just on vacation in Japan, I'm still locally owing allegiance in that sense. Is that the right way to think about it? And if so, doesn't that explain why both temporary residents and undocumented people would have that kind of quote-unquote allegiance just by virtue of being in the United States?
That's absolutely right, Justice Jackson. And
I need them to flush this out a little bit so we have a little bit more of the back and forth when it comes to this citizenship allegiance. I don't know where she's going with this because it makes no sense as it pertains to a kid being a permanent citizen in the United States of America. If you have temporary allegiance, that means that you're temporarily in a place, not in a place in perpetuity. What's happening is that people do not live here. They come here temporarily, or they come here illegally, but then when they have a baby, their baby is here permanently. That's not good for the parents, and that's not good for the child. Because if your child is an American citizen, you get deported. You can't do this in any other country either. So you think you'll go to Japan and have a baby in Japan, and they're gonna make him a Japanese citizen? It's tomfoolery. We got a couple more clips that I want to play because I want you guys to hear them kind of go back and forth on this topic. Roll it.
Not subject to any foreign power is pretty straightforward. So let me give you these examples. A boy is born here to an Iranian father who has entered the country illegally. That boy is automatically an Iranian national at birth, and he has a duty to provide military service to the Iranian government. Is he not subject to any foreign power?
Not within the meaning of the 1866 Act, Justice Alito. And that's clear from Wong Kim Ark, and it's clear from the debates. What the framers meant by the phrase not subject to any foreign power was referring to the ambassador exception. If it meant what the government contends, basically not a subject of any foreign power, that another country considers you a jus sanguinis citizen, then lawful permanent residents, all foreign nationals.
Well, ordinary public meaning of that would certainly encompass that boy, would it not?
Justice Alito, if you think that the language of the 1866 Act was ambiguous, as Wong Kim Ark says, the shift to the language of the 14th Amendment, which is the operative text, certainly clears up any ambiguity.
Well, what I said about a boy born to an Iranian father is true of children born here to parents who are nationals of other countries. If I'm correct, it's true to a child who's born here to Russian parents. It's true to a child who's born here to Mexican parents. They're automatically citizens or nationals of those countries and have a duty of military service. It sure seems like that makes them subject to a foreign power.
But again, Justice Alito, that would have meant that the children of Irish, Italian, and other immigrants, which Wong Kim Ark refers to and the debate the framers refer to, would not have been citizens either. Because if the only test is whether that US-born child is considered a citizen by another country under their jus sanguinis laws, then no foreign nationals' children would be
well,
included
in all of those cases, the parents could be naturalized, and then the children would be derivatively naturalized when the parents were naturalized.
Sound complicated, convoluted, but I think you guys get some of the gist of it. I think the biggest argument here, we all know the truth. The Democrats want as many illegals to come into this country and have as many kids as they can so they can begin to take over. That's what they want. If you're not a citizen, your kids aren't citizens. It's really that simple. That's just how it is. And I think that the government will work it out to where everybody who's been grandfathered in, because they already been here, but everybody knew that's coming in, and you give birth to a child. You can't, if you're not a citizen of this country, your kids are not a citizen. The kids should be citizens where the parent has citizenship. It's that simple. And also the black people, birthright was made in the amendment for black people. Because black people were not considered to be human at some point. Black people were not considered to be citizens at some point. And when they were freed, if they were born on this soil, they were American citizens. That was for the betterment and fairness of black people out of slavery. It was for us. It wasn't for illegal aliens coming over here that didn't fight in a war, didn't pick an ounce of cotton, didn't do nothing to build this country in ways that black people did. You don't get to jump on the backs of what Martin Luther King and everybody did because you want a better opportunity now when black people had hundreds of years of being enslaved in this country. And that was a gesture to say, if you were born here, you are a citizen now, even though you were a slave or even though your ancestors were slaves. But then y'all black people want to give it up to everybody else. You should be ashamed of yourself with your silly self. All right, let's get to the next story. Let's go to the View real quick. These hackling, what they call it? What I call cackling hens. These stew heads are literally upset because a conservative woman said that women should have more children and be women. Listen to these broken, childless, some of them are probably in terrible marriages. These women here talk about the topic. Roll the clip.
The Conservative Political Action Conference, known as CPAC, wrapped up this weekend, and conservative activist Isabel Brown had a message for her fellow Gen Z women.
Shout out to Isabel.
Who reportedly are the least likely group in America to get married and have kids. But I want you to see this clip.
If you're not encouraging your children to grow up and have the courage to get married and have kids, more kids than they can afford before they think they're ready, it is high time to start. It is these choices, like deleting our dating apps and quitting birth control pills and saying I do at the altar, that ultimately trickle down into the political policies that we will see save our country.
Okay.
Time out. Childless cat ladies, the only people that have a problem with what she said. Only thing I would critique about what Isabel Brown said is I hate the phraseology. I get what she means, but I hate the phraseology of have more kids than you can afford. Please don't have more kids than you can afford. Please don't have more kids than you think you can afford. What she's saying is that don't allow fear to hold you back from being fruitful like God has called you to. I just want to make sure that when I say these terms, I'm very clear that don't get so overzealous to say, I'm going to have a bunch of kids. Some of y'all shouldn't be having that many kids because you can't take care of them, you can't love them, and you damaged and you broken. You ain't even in a good relationship with somebody. I don't believe people should be having kids out of wedlock either. Within the confines of marriage, make sure you create a stable environment that you can have kids, where it's conducive to have kids in that environment. So you can give them a good life. You can be patient with them. You don't have to put them through a stressful life where their cortisol levels are high, and your kids all messed up, and they grow up and be messed up adults because you weren't ready to have kids in the first place, and you had 5 of them, and you're miserable, and you're going to have a divorce because you and your partner have not even developed a relationship together. So get married, spend time with your person, build memories with your person, build at least a foundation where you two are stable, building in the right direction, and then you can have as many children as you can. Please don't buy into the talking points of have as many as you can, even if you can't afford them. That's what's wrong now. People can't afford them on food stamps. Anyway, let's get to, I don't care what she say. Let's get to the other ladies. Because she don't say nothing, make no sense. Roll it.
My ultimate beef with this is that it wraps a woman's worth up in her ovaries in a way that for too long has happened. The whole women's movement was not about bucking the trend of staying at home or loving tradition. It was giving women a choice to do what they wanted. And that's what this is too. Marriage, children, it's a choice. And by the way,
but be responsible for God's
No, but
sakes.
be responsible. Yeah. But the other thing is they act like people are sitting around just saying, yeah, no, I'm good. Most women I know, and some don't, but most women wanted to have children. They don't have them for other reasons. Most women I know, if they had a great candidate or a partner, might want to be married. Maybe they don't. The fact that we keep putting this on women, that their only worth in society, politics, policies, is if they produce a baby or have a husband, is the stupidest, most old-fashioned thing. We have come too far. The world has over 8 billion people. We no longer need to force people to procreate and pump out babies. We have arrived here. Women now and girls now have a choice.
Let me say, this is why I know her husband is miserable. You can't be a woman that think like that. Her response is emotional. Her response is not logical. It's emotional. This woman is still living in that space where I'm a boss bae and you're obstructing me by me being a feminine woman. Let me just explain to women this. What do you think you were doing before all of this technology? How were people living? You had to birth them, dummy. This woman right here is saying the same thing. Your mama gave birth to you. Everybody you know came out of a woman's vagina. Can I keep it real? Everybody you know came from a woman. How do you think we get great people? How do you think we get Elon Musk? Women gotta be having babies. So you think this? I think this is gonna be the. I get so upset with women when I hear women talk like this. You guys have piggybacked off of the bloodshed and death of men to then now say, oh, it's my turn to now have access to everything that you have access to, but we didn't die for this. We want to piggyback off of your access and say, now it's our time to arrive. Now we should be CEOs. Humble yourself. I think women should have a choice, but don't get mad when you choose things that leave you single and broken, and don't think that it's somebody else's problem when you got ran through while you were young and now you old and nobody wants you. Don't blame nobody. It's not the men's fault. It's not society's fault. You did not covet your superpowers. Being a woman is a superpower. God gave you the only ability to recreate human beings, and you hold the key in your hand. But some of y'all too busy wanting to be like a man that you just waste your talents. You waste your ability. And then you don't learn until you miserable in a marriage or you old and nobody wants you. Women got to start really thinking it's not equal to be men and women. Men age like fine wine. Women age like milk. I'm just being honest. It ain't my fault. But you know that not one woman on that show will do that show without makeup on. Why? Because they don't look that young and that cute without putting a whole fake face on. They are getting older. They're looking tired. They're looking wrinkly. They're going through menopause. They have a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on. And it's nothing against women. It's just that how about you embrace that as a woman, that's what happens, and quit trying to waste your whole life trying to be like a man. There's a lot of things that women are doing right now they got no business doing. And a lot of women are learning and regretting it later in life that I wish I wouldn't have chased the corporate ladder and I would have stayed at home and loved and hugged my kids every day. And it's always these women that feel like they got something to prove to the world and men that are the ones that are the most miserable. I guarantee you her husband is not as happy as I am. I'm telling you he's not. My wife don't have a brain like that, where she always reacting emotionally. And women, we should have a choice of who we sleep with. No, men, it's not right that men do it, but men have a choice who they sleep with. Every time you sleep with another man, your value go down. I'm just saying, I'm just telling you, it's not fair, but it's true. Women, how about you tell other women this or talk to some men about this? The more guys you lay up with and let hit you is the more the next man is like, ugh, I don't. I'm gonna move on to the other women. I had a woman come back to me. I was in college. She was my first girl. She was so fine. And I was a kid, so I didn't care nothing about fornicating or nothing. So hook up with her. After I hook up with her, I realized she wasn't as fine as I thought she was. Because women don't understand this. When you give it up, men have a chemical in their brain that don't like you as much as they did before you gave it up. So your objective is you need to get a relationship with a man and have him commit to you before you ever give him the nook. Because once he get the nook, he ain't gonna like you. And if he haven't built the relationship with you where he like you outside of the nookie, when he get it, he ain't gonna want you no more. I'm telling you, it's something that men, it happens in their mind, they cannot control it. And that's for a lot of women. You just do inventory. When you slept with him, did things change? Yes, it did. Oh, he don't like you no more. Oh, he not calling back. Oh, he kind of being weird. And in that relationship, is he still with you? Some of y'all maybe. Most of y'all no, because that man married somebody else. And you know it, and your feelings hurt. That's why you mad at me in the comment section. But, so, don't do that. Anyway, let me move on, because I'm going to get in trouble with some of y'all women. That's going to be more people unfollowing me. But I'm just trying to help y'all, man. I'm trying to help you. Like, this is what I would tell my daughter. I would tell my daughter, listen, I don't care what these feminists tell you. You do not sleep with a man that ain't putting a ring on your finger. Because you either have a kid out of wedlock, which could be a nightmare, or a guy just hit you and he gonna hit the next girl before you know it. You didn't let all these dudes hit, and then you're gonna find a guy you really, really like, and then he ain't gonna want to mess with you. I had a girl do me like that in college. She hit everybody on the team. I mean, she probably hit 12 dudes on the same team. She hit a dude and his brother. I know because they told me. Now, she was fine. But when I got graduated college, she still kept up with me. She came to me. She was visiting. She came to me. Brandon, have you ever thought about being in a relationship with you? What kind of clown do you think I am that I want to be with you now? You didn't mess with dudes that are my friends. You imagine me at the wedding. Hey, what's up, y'all? You too? God, they had everybody on my side did already. They didn't have you in a 3-point stand, and you think I'm finna marry you. Okay. Y'all mad at me. Every man know what I'm talking about. Women, y'all gonna be mad at me. Every man know what I'm talking about. She come around to me, man. I was offended. I'm still offended. What kind of sucker you think I am? That you didn't ask none of them the other dudes, do they want to be with you? You want me, a good man. Now that you didn't have fun with everybody, you want a good man to want to be with you. Girl, you better stop. Anyway, I didn't blow all my time up. Just so you know, these women are stupid, and they keep saying stupid stuff. Let's play a couple clips. Let me see if I, just real quick. Ana Navarro, put it on there.
Where is the call to responsibility for the men who help make these children, right? I don't know why it's always people lecturing women what they have to do.
Y'all don't want to take
or
accountability.
not to do.
That's what it is.
Bottom line, if you're not paying my bills, you don't get to tell me what I do with my uterus.
But you let them hit, though, and they don't pay your bills. Y'all, this is the thing that be bothering me about women sometimes. And they go, and not all y'all, because the ones watching me is perfect. Y'all Mother Mary, okay? You ain't done nothing wrong in your life. You're not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about that other girl on somebody else's live stream. But these women go, you don't get to tell me who I am. And men always do this, and men always do this. And if you don't pay my bills, you know. But Tony, Tyrone, and Larry didn't pay your bills, and they were laying up in your bed. But you want this guy to pay your bills. Make your mind up, sis. Is it about bills or not? Anyway, why don't you hold men accountable? How about you women hold women accountable? You always diverting to the men. Y'all the only ones that can give birth. Y'all the only ones that give access to sex. What are you talking about? Men don't get nothing if a woman don't accept it. Unless in a rare case somebody's taking it from you without your consent. But women are the ones that give it that give the access. Men are just available. If women said, if women across the country said, I'm not sleeping with no more men for the next 30 days, every man in the country is on a drought. No, not every man, because women don't like every man. They only like the top tier guys. So the top tier guys is the ones hitting all of them. All of them dry up. Women give access, but there's a responsibility with that access. There's a level of honor that you should be holding with access. Every time things happen, you shouldn't say, what about the man? What about the man? What about the man? What are you doing? You got a kid with that guy you don't like because you let him hit. It's not, but what he only said yes to you letting him do it. You know, and I don't know, man. I'm ranting on this one. I get so irritated with women today. It's rare that you get, like, I'm glad I found my wife. I get so irritated with women today. Like, they won't take accountability for nothing. It's the man's fault. It's the man's fault. You are in control, to be quite honest, when it comes to men. If you treat a man right, he'll do anything you want him to do. My husband don't clean up. It's certain things that you can say to your husband, he'll do anything you want him to do. You don't do your part. You think he's an animal and he's supposed to be on autopilot. You can get him to do what you want him to do. There's a lady I follow, incredible woman. She was incredible. I follow her. I listen to her every day. She's 100% right, and my wife is the epitome, or at least the congruency of who that of who that lady is. That lady tells the difference between you tell a man, can you wash the dishes? And versus, honey, could you please do the dishes? There's a difference. Take out the trash. Sweetheart, can you take the trash out? That's the difference. That little difference in a man's mind tells a whole nother story. And there's also other things you can do. Some of y'all be holding, and I got to wait to my other part of the stream to talk about that. But some of y'all, if you just do twinkle, twinkle, little star, he'll do whatever you want him to do. I'm talking about your husband. I'm not talking about Tony down the street because he want to twinkle star with you and your friend. I'm talking about the one that decided to marry you and commit to you for life. Let's see. What time is it? I got 6 minutes before my call. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we probably not going to be able to do the post-show clarity today because I have a call I have to get on. Fortunately and unfortunately, I'm an entrepreneur, so I got to deal with another business. And so I appreciate you guys. We'll make it up to you, I promise. And if we do end up recording it after my call, we may record it after the call. We'll upload it to the membership program for you guys, okay? But I love you. I had to get that off my chest. Sometimes I got to get these things out. That's how you get B. Tatum, is that sometimes I got to dump some of this stuff out of my mind so we can continue the conversation. But I love you guys. Appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.